In the middle of the 6th century, a huge empire emerges. This empire went down in history as the Eternal Eel. His invincible army defeated the most powerful empires of his time. The people who created this empire disappeared, leaving their names as a legacy to many peoples who are not their descendants at all. This empire was created by a nation that went down in history as the Eisen clan. They write about themselves. The world was full of enemies on 4 sides. Then Bummen Kagan and Istemi Kagan went to war with everyone who wanted to conquer us. We were ruled by the brave and wise Kagans, the entire elite, and all the people kept order and strengthened ill. We fed and organized those who were defeated by word and sword. And we gave them horses. We gave everyone freedom. So, all the neighbors joined the tribal union. The peoples of all countries, all 4 sides were reconciled by word and sword. The Chinese called this people Sohi. According to a study by sinologist Stanislav Petrovich Gushchin, these people were busy working with iron. They were masters of their craft. The Avars conquered Sohi and obliged them to pay taxes. Sohi began preparations for war against a powerful enemy. Year 551. Sok conquered the peoples of Teli with a sudden blow. Then other tribes and peoples of Altai were subordinated. A union of the peoples of Altai was formed, which was named Turk. Year 552. Bummen's heavy cavalry moved to the headquarters of the Avar Kagan. The war began. The Avar army was defeated, and Anouan himself committed suicide. Some of the Avars flee to China, but the Chinese hand them over to Bummen. Some Avars run west. Istemi pursues the fleeing west. But he stumbled upon the Hephthalites and was forced to abandon the pursuit. Byzantine historian Menander Protector wrote about Istemi's statement that the commander of the Turkic army Istemi announced that the Avars are not birds and will not fly away from our swords. When we crush the Hephthalites, the Avars will know the power of our swords. The Avars took the Istem threat seriously and decided to flee far. The Avars defeated the Khazars and Utigurs. Then they attacked the Azov and the Slavs and conquer them. Then, crossing the Carpathians from the north, they attacked Gaul and Tariungia. Then, after defeating the Franks, they captured King Sigebert. They defeat the Gepid army and conquer Pannonia. A new Avar Khaganate was created, which existed for another 200 years. Year 556. War with the state of Tagan. The city of Shudong, the capital of Tagan, is captured. The Khaganate and Iran entered into a military alliance against the Hephthalites. The Hephthalite emperor Gatfar himself provoked the war. He ordered the assassination of the ambassadors of the Khaganate sent to Iran through the territory of the Hephthalites. Shahinshah Khosrav I Anushirvan started a war against the Hephthalites. The troops of Sasanian Iran invaded the territory of the Hephthalites. And they quickly advanced and occupied Takharistan. Then the troops of the Khaganate began to attack. They quickly found themselves on the territory of the Hephthalites and captured Chak. This is the territory of modern Uzbekistan. Then they defeated a huge Hephthalite army in Nefes. Then they captured Samarkand and Bukhara. In the decisive battle at Karshi, the Hephthalites were defeated again. The Hephthalites overthrow their emperor Gatfar and elect Faganish. Faganish tried to make peace with Iran against the Khaganate. But the Hephthalites were defeated. The Khaganate and Iran divided the Hephthalite state among themselves. The Khaganate has always sought to take control of the entire Silk Road. After the fall of the Hephthalites, Iran remained the only obstacle to taking control of the Silk Road for trade with Byzantium and Europe. Year 567. Istemi's troops cross the Volga and penetrate the Caucasus. to build a northern trade route bypassing Iran. On the way, the Sabirs, Khazars and Utigurs were subordinated. Year 568, Istemi concludes a military alliance with the Byzantine Empire against Iran. And next year, heavy cavalry invades Iranian territory and captures Alanya. Istemi tried to persuade to speed up the opening of the Second Front, but the emperor did not dare, and therefore Istemi made peace with Iran. Iran has promised to pay an annual tribute of 40,000 gold dinars. Year 572. Magan Kagan dies. His brother ascends to the throne with the titular name Tebo Kagan. Upon accession to the throne, the Kagan is given a title name. Year 576. Istemi dies. The conquest of Western territories and successful diplomacy are the exclusive merit of this political figure of the Khaganate and an outstanding commander who did not know defeat in continuous battles with the strongest empires of that time. Year 577. The troops of the Khaganate invade Crimea, and then occupy Lazica. This is the territory of modern Georgia. During the hostilities of the Khaganate in the west, China became much stronger and refused to pay tribute. The year is 601. Khaganate's troops invade China and destroy the Chinese army in Chanyani. The uprising of the Teli tribes in Zungaria. In the same year, the Khaganate was divided into two parts: Western Khaganate and Eastern Khaganate. Chulu Kagan ascends to the throne of the Eastern Khaganate. He tried to weaken the growing China. In the Eastern Khaganate in the city of Dingxiang, the Chinese government of the Sui dynasty in exile was opened. China was reunited under the Tang dynasty. The advisors offered to make peace with China. But the Kagan's main concern was the destabilization of China. In the Caucasus, the Turkic commander Cholban Darkin with his 3,000th army invaded Transcaucasia through Derbent. And he defeated the 10,000th army of the famous Persian commander Farrukhan Sharvaraz. This battle is described in the history of the Albanians by the Armenian historian Moses Kalankatui. All Transcaucasia was liberated from Sasanian Iran. There were very few Turks in the Western Khaganate. The Istemi warriors, who went with their military commander to conquer the western territories, remained few. Many died in the fighting. Some, after the death of Istemi, returned home to the Eastern Khaganate. But those Turks who remained in the Western Khaganate were supported by many peoples of the Western Khaganate. Since under the Turks, peace was established between all peoples and trade flourished. The Sogdian merchants grew rich and did not want others to come instead of the Turks. And they supported with all their might. The Turks were strongly supported by the warlike tribes of Dulu and Nushibi. In the Eastern Khaganate, the Uyghurs, Bayerku and Khitan revolted. They went over to the side of China. 630th year. The troops of the Khaganate are defeated in the war with China. The Eastern Khaganate ceased to exist. The Chinese army on the territory of the Eastern Khaganate captured 80,000 Chinese from the Sui dynasty and brought them to China. The remains of the Aizen clan and their families were transported to China. In China, good conditions were created for them, they were given high positions. They have lived in China for 50 years. Here's what they write about themselves. I appeal to my people and my rulers. I was a people and conquered many. We united the peoples of all four sides. And what I have become now. We had a Kagan. And where is he, my Kagan? To whom I give all my strength, all my work. 681st year. The grandchildren of the great warriors rebelled against China. Kutluk with the titular name Il-Taras Kagan was declared their Kagan. A civil war broke out in China. This is what Bilge, the son of Il-Taras Kagan, writes about this uprising. At first, my father had 17 brave fighters. The brave rushed to them in the mountains and wilds. And they were all like wolves, and their enemies were like sheep. And they fought bravely. And brought them all together. Everyone was inspired by my father. He returned honor and glory to the rebels. And 700 brave fighters gathered. Ashide Yuanzhan, the leader of the failed uprising, was imprisoned. He raised a rebellion in 679th year, but the imperial troops defeated him. He asked the emperor to release him from prison and raise an army to fight Il-Taras Kagan. The emperor freed him and ordered to gather an army. He gathered an army and marched against Il-Taras Kagan. But instead of war, he joined Il-Taras Kagan. Year 683. The entire north of China became the arena of military operations. The rebels attacked Wingzhou and Lanzhou. Governor of Lanzhou, Governor of Wingzhou and Governor Wang Dimiao were executed. In the same year, the rebels attacked Guizhou. Zhang Kaishi, the military governor of the Chinese-occupied lands, was captured and executed. In the same year, the rebels attacked Yuzhou. Governor of Yuzhou Li Ziqan was captured and executed. The commander of the Chinese troops in Yuzhou Qi Ziban was taken prisoner. The following year, the rebels attacked Shuizhou and Dezhou. A major battle took place near Xinzhou. The battle ended with the complete defeat of the Chinese army. The Chinese suffered huge losses and fled in panic, losing 5,000 soldiers. These are huge losses of that time. Year 688. The rebels conquer the Uyghurs and create a new khaganate. Year 693. Il-Taras Kagan dies. His brother with the title name Kopagan Kagan ascends the throne. In the same year Ashide Yuanzhan died during a campaign against the Turkish. The year is 696. The Khaganate conquers Khitan and Qi. The warriors of Ashide Yuanzhan, who captured the Turkish, created a separate Turkish Khaganate. The year is 701. The 16-year-old commander Kul Tegan conquers Dzungaria, conquers the Basmals. The entire north of China was destroyed in constant war. The empire suffered huge losses. The Chinese generals were forced to fight defensive wars. But, despite this, the Kagan ordered his troops to constantly change the places of their headquarters. A coup is taking place in China. Empress Wu is slain. The Tang dynasty is restored. The year 706. In the province of Minsha, Kul Dijin destroys a huge Chinese army. The next year he conquers Bayerka. Year 710. Kul Dijin conquered the Yenisei Kyrgyz, Azov, Sogdians, Mogu, Tatub, Khitan, Turgish and Togus Oghuz. The Yenisei Kyrgyz and the Kyrgyz living in Central Asia are different peoples. The Yenisei Kyrgyz are Khakas. The Russians mistakenly named the Central Asian Kyrgyz. They called all Asians Kyrgyz. Year 711. Karluk Sanazi Revolt. Uyghurs, Tataba and Kadain join China. Year 714. The Oghuzes, Yenisei Kyrgyz and Bayerku revolt. The Khaganate instantly disintegrated. Kagan accuses Kuldejan of cruelty and removes him from command. In fact, the Chinese bribed, bestowed and turned all these peoples against the Khaganate. The Chinese have always had a divide and conquer policy. The Kagan himself began to suppress the uprisings. In Dzungaria, his troops were defeated, and the Kagan was killed. Basmals sent the severed head of the Kagan to China. Kagan's advisors, violating the law on succession to the throne, declare Kagan the son of Kapagan Kagan. According to the law, the eldest of the Ashina clan must be appointed as the Kagan. Kuldejan returns from the war to headquarters and kills the Kagan. The advisors were accused of the coup and executed. Bilge Kagan, brother of Kuldejan, was declared Kagan. Aga Darkantanyukik, 70, becomes the advisor. Kuldejan offers peace to China. He was going to restore the Khaganate. But the emperor refuses. He has already assembled an army of 300,000 Chinese and allies. China gathered troops to destroy the Khaganate forever. Year 720th. Chinese and allied forces went on the offensive. The Basmals were the first to approach the headquarters of the Kagan. But no one was found. Frightened by the ambush, they retreated to the fortified city of Baidan. This is the current capital of China, Beijing. But Baidan was already occupied by the troops of Kuldejan. The Basmals were ambushed and destroyed. In the same year, Kuldejan destroyed the Chinese army under the command of Yuan Qin. In the same year, Kuldejan defeated Kidane. The following year, Kuldejan defeated the Uyghurs and the Tatab. China asked for peace. And the next year, peace was made. Kuldejan pacified the Yenisei Kyrgyz, as, Sogdians, Mogu, Izjil, Turgish and Karluk. And peace was established in the Khaganate. Silk began to come from China. And the trade routes started working. Year 731st. Kuldejan dies. Then Bilge Kagan dies. Yolo Dijan, the son of Bilge Kagan, ascends the throne. He died suddenly after 5 years of rule. His brother Kutlaic ascends to the throne. The coup in the Khaganate. Yabgu Kut kills the Kagan and declares himself Kagan. The Basmals, Karluks and Uyghurs do not recognize the usurper, rise up and kill Yabgu Kut. Elders elevate Omaish Dijan to the throne. Osmish received the already destroyed Khaganate. The emperor offered Osmish Dijan to resettle his people to China. And he was promised a high position. But Osmish refused. Soon the Uyghurs and Basmals attacked the headquarters and defeated the remnants of the Khaganate's troops. The Basmals sent the severed head of the Kagan to China. The elders elevated Baimi Dijan to the throne. He became the Kagan of the remnants of his people. The year 744. The Chinese commander Wang Zhangqi went to finish off the remnants of the Aizen clan. He destroyed 11 imags near the Sahana Mountains. Baimei migrated west. But there the Uyghurs overtook them and destroyed them. The Uyghurs sent the head of the Kagan to China. The emperor held a celebration at the Huelo Palace in honor of the destruction of the Aizen clan. The remains of the Aizen clan are relocated to China. But they there in 756 rebelled again and were completely destroyed. This was already the real end of this people. The Uyghurs, Basmals, Karluks and Kurikans begin to destroy the monuments and written languages of this people. After that, no one wrote runic letters in the steppe. The emperor ordered the destruction of the entire Aisin clan like wolves wherever they met. Many peoples were assimilated by China in the shortest possible time and dissolved in numerous China, but they did not succeed with this people. But for a long time, representatives of the Aisin clan ruled in the vastness of the Western Khaganate. This is a short chronology of the 200-year history of the Aishan clan in the Eastern Khaganate from the year 545 to 744. Some of the remains of this people may have survived by migrating north, where there were no enemies. In the north there is a people whose self-name is the Saka people, which completely coincides with how the Chinese called the people who created the Great Eel, according to the study of sinologist Stanislav Petrovich Gushchin. The calculations of the DNA genealogy of Professor Anatoly Alexeyevich Klasov also coincide. They calculated the date of the sharp decline in the number of the Saka people. The Saka people were destroyed simultaneously with the Aishan clan and are being reborn again. Runic writing is written in the Saka language. The word Turk in the Saka language is translated as local or indigenous peoples. The word Ashina in the Saka language means the grandson of the Most High. This is the most common name for this people. The word Kagan is translated as father. Koch is an initiative or organizers. Many texts of the Turkic runes are translated incorrectly. For example, Button Kara Turk Sur is translated as the union of the peoples of Budan, Turks and Sarav. And in the Saka language, the whole immense Turkic land. Also the names of the Khagans in the Saka language. Iltaris Kagan in the Saka language, Kagan who participated in the revival of Khaganate. Magan Kagan, White Kagan. Hara Ytyk Kagan, Deer Kagan. Mojo Kagan, Strong Kagan. Kapagan Kagan, Dense. Chulo Kagan, Magnificent. Bego Kagan, Not Bendable. Yolo Dijan, Happy Dijan. Yulu Kagan, Great Kagan. Sunya Kagan, Giant. Bilge Kagan predicts the future. The names have a lot in common. When the Russians arrived in the Saka lands, they named them Uezi. They were mistaken for the Uezi who were part of the Khaganate. Scientists call Uezi the White Huns.